What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you today the last profile of 2020, and I thought we'd go off with a bit of a banger, and this one we're going with is Drytron Max. Now, this is kind of like the borderline between Drytrons and Blue Eyes, because it's not just Blue Eyes Max that we involve in this deck. We do involve other Blue Eyes cards, and I'll explain to you as we go through it, but there's just not enough to claim it as being a Blue Eyes deck. Now, Joe does have a version of this which is more Blue Eyes centered, and this is a version that melds the two together. I have taken budget into consideration as well, so I have tried to make this as cheap as I possibly can. And I'll go through other options that you will have as we go through the profile. With that out of the way, please, let's end this year on a high by smashing that like button, hitting that notification bell, and subscribing to the channel so that we can enter 2021 and bring you even more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh content. With that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into today's profile of Drytron Max. Now, we'll start off with the Drytron cards themselves, and we'll go through them here. So we go off with triple Drytron Alpha Furban. This is the one that when it is summoned, it will search you out, or via a Drytron effect, it will search you out a ritual monster. Then you've got triple Zeta. This is the one that when it is summoned via a Drytron monster's effect, it will get you a ritual spell. And then we've got double Gamma. When this is summoned via a Drytron monster effect, it will revive a Drytron monster from the graveyard. And then we've got the one Delta Atlas. When this is summoned via a Drytron monster effect, it will allow you to draw a card. So it's a bit of nice deck thin ability. We are not playing Nova. Because I'm trying to keep budget in consideration with this, Novas were like £40 a pop. So I've basically gone with a build that doesn't rely on Nova, which is absolutely fine. You lose the consistency a little bit of the Drytrons themselves, but the whole idea behind this deck is to literally be able to either turn off your opponent's board, stop your opponent's board from being amassed in a mass amount, and then just one-shot them with Chaos Max and anything else you can back him up with. We've then got the one Drytron Quadratis, and we've got the Draconis, so obviously for back row and for front row, and then of course your Draconis can of course also be for defensive natures as well, during your opponent's turn to quick effect, banish and pop. Then, of course, we've got the double Cyber Angel Ben 10. You can play 3 if you want, but the whole idea behind this deck is you don't mind losing the dice roll, okay? You don't mind going second, because then the whole idea is you're going to go second, you're going to one-shot your opponent. Then if your opponent makes you go first, you can then side in a Vanity's Ruler, and then you just go for that route as well. So it then puts your opponent on the back leg of caution, because they're like, right, well, if I go first, are they then going to Vanities me? And if they Vanities me, can I break it? And then the whole idea is that even no matter what board they build, you should still have the ways of getting past it, bringing a Chaos Max on board, and even if you are locked out under like VFD or anything like that, you still have the ability to get Chaos Max on board, which is a near immovable object for them. And then on top of that, you want to kind of put a Draconis on there so that you can interrupt them during their turn. Then finishing up on the Drytron section, we've got the one Manju, because going second, you want to use the Ben 10 effect to get your normal summon of Manju. Manju is your only normal summon that you want to use in this deck, because then from that point, Manju will then get you the ritual spell you're missing or the monster, or it will add you an additional effect that you might need later on. Then of course we've got triple Cyber Emergency. This counts as basically 4 copies of Alpha, 4 copies of Zeta, 6 copies of those, 5 copies of Gamma, and 4 copies of Alpha as well. And then, of course, you've got the one Drytron ritual spell. You can't play the deck without this. This is like a 20 quid card. It was a 10 quid card. It's now gone up to 20 quid. It should be a little bit easier to get because you only ever need to really play one of them. But I highly advise if you play any ritual deck, and if you're looking at this particular profile, including Chaos Max in it, you need to get this card. It just makes life so much easier for every ritual summon you ever try to make. Now onto the Blue Eyes cards themselves. So it's actually a very, very balanced split. So you've got 18 Drytron cards, then you've got about 18 or a little bit less Blue Eyes cards, and then the rest are just utility cards to help you successfully resolve the Blue Eyes destruction. So we do play double Blue Eyes Chaos Max. 2 is more enough. You can play 3 if you want, but just with 2, you've got so many ways of searching it off of through the Drytrons, and you're also playing Melody. You actually got a lot of consistent ways of getting to this card. We've then got triple Blue Eyes Alternate. Now, the best thing about Alternate is it is actually a card that says it cannot be normal summoned or set. So it does mean you can special summon this card even under the Drytron lock effects, because the Drytron say you can't special summon monsters that can be normal summoned or set. Which basically means you can't special summon Blue Eyes which is fine. Which is the only reason we're playing 2 Blue Eyes, is because Blue Eyes is in here as tribute fodder. You only want this as reveal fodder for this, you want it as tribute fodder for the Chaos Max, you want it as discard fodder for your trading, and it just gives you a little bit more consistency plays that way, and you kind of want to minimise it, which is why we're only playing 2. We're then playing triple Melody of Awakening Dragon. Now, of course, this is going to get you Blue Eyes, Alternative, and Chaos Max. Now, there was a question that popped up about Chaos Space, and I was like 80% sure that Chaos Space could search out Chaos Max, because technically it can't be normal summon a set, and it is a level 8 Dark. If that's the case, and you want to put this on more of a budget, you can put in a small Chaos Space engine, because then that's got more consistent ways of searching out your Chaos Max, and then you can even add like a Levianeer or Link Climb Higher using the Wyvern Dragons. So if you don't have alternatives or anything like that, and you kind of want to focus on this being a Drytron Max, you could go that route as well. Entirely up to you. And then, because we're considering budget in the aspect of this, we've gone 3 Forbidden Chalice. This is mainly for the Zeus matchup. This is mainly for the Virtual World matchup. These can be imperms, they can be dropless if you have them. They can even be triple tactical talents if you have them as well. But the whole idea behind this, less so in this particular... I mean, the Drytrons do lose out massively to the Virtual World Synchro. But the idea is you need to be able to try and stop that VFD. If the VFD does resolve, it's absolutely fine. You still have ways to play, and you just basically want to try and set up a more defensive board, but you lose a lot of resource. Another option that you can play in this deck is you can play Interrupted Kaiju Slumber and Kaijus, because then it gives you more level 8s for your trading. It gives you more level 8s for your Chaos Space Ritual Summon. It also gives you the ability of, even if you're under VFD, what you can do is you can Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, clear their entire board, give them a Kaiju, give yourself a Kaiju, and then that's when you can bring on the Draconis as a defensive option, because then the Draconis can, during your opponent's turn, use this effect to deal with the monster. So you do lose the effects of all of your monsters, because you will already be under VFD, but the Kaiju engine is another good Kaiju engine that can help you go in second, and it actually helps you out of a lot of decks as well. Then, of course, we've got Creature Swap. So for those of you that haven't noticed, obviously all the Drytrons are 0 defense. So if you give your opponent any Drytron and leave it in defense, and then you bring out your Chaos Max, that's game there. So as long as you have the ability to attack and they can't stop your Creature Swap going through, you give them your Drytron. So you just give them one of your level 1 Drytrons, and then they have to give you one of theirs. So, for example, if you were to somehow, and again, this is just hypothetical, get a Drytron on the board and then activate Creature Swap, they would have to give you a VFD or their Synchro. And then you're going to give them a Drytron. Now, obviously, in the whole scheme of things, the idea is you need to turn off their board to stop them being able to use their effects, and then you can just give them a monster and then one-shot it. But again, it's just another nice little tech that works. Double trading, you could play free, but you don't have that many targets. Now, what you've got to keep in mind as well is, it's not the end of the world if your Chaos Max is in the graveyard, because the Draconis Ritual spell can summon him back from the grave. So being able to use him as trading fodder is absolutely fine. We've got Double Desires. You play a lot of 3-ofs. The whole idea of this deck is to just OTK one-shot. So the idea is that if you play Desires, you kind of just want to get to the ability of resolving a Drytron engine and then get into Chaos Max. And you've got a lot of ways of searching it. If you wanted to, you could play Extrav, because the extra deck, in all honesty, is pretty much free. But you can kind of go from that. And then we've got the one Chaos form, and then the one that kind of helps both out is Triple Nibiru. Now, I'm not a particular massive fan of Nibiru, purely because I think the smarter combo players can play around it. I think the majority of decks right now have the ability to play through it. But what Nibiru does do is, if you hit it with the right cards, you could leave your opponent with a 0 defense token, and even if you don't, you can still get rid of it with Chaos Max and the Drytron monsters, and then the Chaos Max does the piercing damage through the token, and then the Nibiru swings in to finish the game off. So it was one of them ones where Droplet isn't as good under the level 9 VFD, the Virtual World Synchro, whereas Nibiru is actually a little bit better as long as you drop it at the right time before they get a negate on board. So again, it is entirely optional. You can take this out, and rather than trying to disrupt the opponent's board during their turn, you can aim to break it during your turn. It just depends on your playstyle and what route you want to go with it. So I kept the Blue Eyes in blue sleeves and the Drytrons in white sleeves, just so you can see the level of, so the maximum level between the two. So the only ones in greens are Nibiru, because they were in a side deck, but you can see that it's pretty balanced, which is why it's a nice 50-50 split. moving on to the extra deck, like I said, the extra deck is pretty much free, but the idea is we've got a couple of rank 8s in the form of Dingrisu, Dragulabon, and then Dragulabon is going to lead you into your your Hope Harbinger, your Heart of Draco, and your Numeron Dragon. So if you only have the ability of getting Chaos Max to the board and then getting Alternative to the board, and you can't win the game through them 2 cards there, you make Dragulabon. That can then give you Numeron Dragon for game because it's 10k, or it'll give you Harbinger as a protective option. And keep in mind that if you were to do that, and then if you were able to get the Drytrons on board again, so like use a Gamma or something like that, you can then tribute, and your board could then be a Hope Harbinger plus a Hope Harbinger, Dragulabon, and I mean even that you can just use the Dragulabon as tribute fodder and a Vanity's Ruler. So it gives you the best of both. Then, like I said, with the extra deck, it is pretty much free. There's nothing that you are stuck into, but kind of what we've gone for, because we're not going for like the pure Drytron version of, you know, we want to be linking them away to get into a Union Carrier to get into Dawn Knight and stuff like that. We've gone with double Link Karibo, single Link Spider, single Relinquish Anima, all of the... so this is if you get Nibiru'd, and then the Link Karibo and the Relinquish Animas are all coming off of your level 1 Drytrons again. Anima can be another form of nice interruption to steal one of your opponent's monsters. We've then got double IP Masquerena. Should it hit the fan, you can make IP Masquerena, which then means during your opponent's turn, you can go into a Cerberus, Phoenix, and a Unicorn. And then finishing up, again, keeping budget in mind, we've got the Avramax. But if you have it, you can easily go into a Access Code Talker as well. So again, this is just giving you another creative look on Drytrons and Blue Eyes. Someone did ask for a Blue Eyes deck. Now, this is not counting as the Blue Eyes deck because, like I said, it's not... in my opinion, it's not as Blue Eyes heavy as it should be for a Blue Eyes deck, but it's still very, very good. It's still very, very interesting, and I really think that the 2 decks synergize really nicely together when played in this particular route. But with that out of the way, please smash the like button, hit the notification button and subscribe. If you get this video up to 50 likes, it will show that you like this type of idea and you want us to explore it more. If it doesn't reach the 50 likes, then we will leave it here as a one-shot, here you go, and kind of pick it up later on in the line. But for now, short, sweet, simple video, guys. Thank you so much for watching all of this year of 2020. I know it's been tough. We are going to move into 2021. Hopefully, it'll get brighter and better for everyone. But for absolutely everyone here at Zephyr War Games, have an awesome New Year's. Stay safe. And let's all get into 2021 with a big smile on our face. As absolutely always, guys, happy dueling.